Hey guys, Thomas the Solution here, aka Mustached. I'm here to review The Meg. So we start this movie off with a submarine going on about, and it is in bad condition. So Jason Statham's character, Jonas, goes to potentially save them. But as he is potentially trying to do that, his little crew gets attacked, getting a bump from the outside. He does manage to pick up one of the survivors. However, the shape of the sub only gets worse and worse with each bump, and the locking mechanism which they attached from this other submarine, he has to make the hard choice but to lock out two of his other former team members in order for him to escape with the people he has already saved or risk losing everyone. So we cut to this rich guy named Mr. Morris, who has purchased this large underground facility where he meets this family, Sue and her father and her daughter as well. And we meet some of the other team, including Jax and DJ and Mac, these other individuals. Some of which of this team goes separated in this other sub, trying to reach this new bottom surface. But they're trying to go beneath the current surface that, we are aware of. And they manage to do so, which leads them down into sending down some lights and sending down a rover. But the rover they send down first gets lost, and then the sub-team gets attacked. Meanwhile, we cut to Thailand, where Jonas has departed his ways, and he gets tracked down by two of the team members from the upper, rich underground facility. And he claims that he won't do it for money or whatever, and then they end up playing the tape for him that was left behind by the sub-team, and then conveniently one of the members of that team was his ex-girlfriend. So he decides to inevitably try to help them out. So Sue, the mother, gets ready to help out with her own sub, and Jonas arrives on the scene, and he's about to get this checkup from one of the guys he previously saved that said that he, sacrificed the other two and how that was bad or whatever. But he manages to get out of a little checkup here. So he sees the daughter and talks with her for a brief moment. And he makes his way to the sub and does this whole bunch of conversion stuff to make sure that he is able to get down there faster. So Sue gets bumped by a large squid that is wrapping around her ship. And then after the squid sort of just inks off and leaves, she sees a shark pass by. And Jonas, sends out some flares to essentially get the shark to pay attention to him. So he sends the mother Sue up, and he goes to save the other three, which includes the ex, some fat guy, and Toshi, this other guy that was with them in the sub. But Toshi stays behind, as again we have another case of the locking. If they had left the locking mechanism exposed, then they would have all been killed. So he stays behind and gets eaten by the shark. And initially, Sue blames Jonas for not being able to save them all. So they go into how this shark is called the Megalodon, or short for the Meg, which is where the title comes from. And he says that, that being Jonas, if they keep exploring, then it will just be on a slaughter of their team. And the rich guy is like, oh, it kind of sucks. So we cut to the daughter, who's now playing with his trackbone alone for whatever reason, and she's just going on about some pretty interesting good camera work here during the scene, in which a big shark then comes to attack and hits up against the window. So that Jonas and Sue, the mother, go to her, and they see that the shark is out and about. So there's then this odd cut to them getting on this boat, and Jason, or I should say Jonas, the character he plays, ends up signing up to go in to be essentially bait to lure in this shark. So he does a Just Keep Swinging reference to Disney's Finding Nemo. And he looks underwater for a bit as the shark kind of goes under, but he manages to get in the tracer. And once he puts it on, the shark begins to give chase. But he manages to get on and get away from that. So the next thing they do is prep up for Sue, the mother, to go into a shark cage and essentially use her to do a further jab there. So the tiny sharks swim away, and the giant megalodon shark grabs on and pulls her away with the entire boat in tow. So the shark is swallowing the entire cage, and Jonas goes in for a dive to save her. So the shark goes after this tech girl who's on their team named Jax, who ended up falling in the water, but Shannon manages to make it. Then the fat guy falls in, and we cut back to the shark making its way back, but this rope that hooked him perfectly pulls him back from barely just eating our main characters and ends up killing it. So they end up hauling the big shark back up, and Sue wakes up from her almost drowning, essentially. So the team is messing around, and the fat guy is in the water doing his little bit, and then a bigger megalodon shark takes out the fat guy and the dead shark all in one fell swoop. And the boat also manages to flip over in the process, and all of them fall in the water. The father of the main wife, mother, Sue, gets taken down, and the doc, the one that was about to do the whole thing with Jonas at the beginning, and Jax fall back into the deep, and they're both out there, and the shark is going after both of them in a general sense, but the doc uses his flailing to make sure that it goes after him instead, and Jax again manages to get out alive. So they see one of their Jonas's pals, Mac, gets to this red boat, and they manage to get to the other red boats as well, and essentially make their way there. So the rich guy calls in for some support, and hold on, I'm a little lost on my notes here. Sorry. Anyways, yeah. So this helicopter does come in, and they start shooting at it. They try to. They also pinpoint its location as well, and it dives down into the water. And I almost assumed that it was actually going to try to dive up and take out the helicopter, but that never actually ends up happening. Instead, the rich guy is, able to get in. So Sue talks to her dying father, and Jonas comforts her as well as the daughter afterwards, and Jonas has a little talk with the daughter after that as well. So the rich guy essentially talks to the remaining of the team, saying the base will close down until they are able to essentially take out this shark. And Jonas talks to his ex while him and her talk about with the daughter about shipping him essentially with Sue, moving on to better and bigger pastures in the relationship region. Meanwhile, the rich guy is with the secondary crew, sending down charges to what they assume is the shark, and they blow it up, again, based off of assumption, and they go in nice and close, and they see that it was just a whale, and then the actual shark attacks, and the rich guy and the boat leaves, and the rich guy falls off, and he gets left behind, and then he almost gets eaten by the shark, only to actually really get eaten only moments later. So the remaining team sees that didn't work out at all, and they prep up as the shark is now almost about to go to this populated beach. So the team wants to lure it in using this call into shallow waters, and the shark goes for the people. It starts, doing its thing, dropping the tracker in the process, pulling the chains off of these little land floaties, I guess I'll call them. I'm not really sure what their names are, but these little square blocks, I guess I'll say. And some of the ladies get pulled in, and the shark attacks this other guy in this bubble thing, kills him because he just pops the balloon all the way. Anyways, the shark is about to attack this boy that ended up going in the water. He's about to get eaten, but the shark then hears the call and goes towards that, and starts to chase after Jonas, and he uses these narrow little water passages, but the shark tries to get him and misses. And they attack the shark back, and it flees. They use these little missile things that they have. Jonas's missile jams up, and the shark attacks him back. Meanwhile, these helicopters are trying to record everything that's going on, and one of them ends up crashing into another, and those two end up crashing onto the boat, which makes all the other teammates that were on the boat fall into the water. So Jonas leads the big shark away, and he signs off saying that he's said that he's willing to do whatever it takes to save them, and he uses up his now messed up little boat thing that he was having trouble with to gash a giant bloody mark in through the shark, and it starts to bite at him back, and Jonas uses a classic harpoon and stabs it twice and sticks it in him really deep, and once it falls back into the water, all these other sharks come in and they start to attack it and they eat it alive. And in the process of while that was going on, Sue manages to save Jonas from getting attacked by a smaller shark. So they make their way back up and they join the remaining of the team, who celebrate their survival and saloon to the ones who have lost their lives. And it cuts back down into the water, assuming that something else was down there. And that was The Meg. It's been a while since I've seen a shark movie. This one's a bit interesting as it doubles down on shark. That being a big shark and then a much bigger shark. I think the acting is very hokey of like, oh, gotta do the whole dramatic like, oh, the team. We do get a little bit of time with them, but they don't really stand up too much. And the main character kind of does the whole like he kind of pokes fun at the cliches of like, oh, the guy who's like, oh, I'm not gonna join, but he ends up joining, kind of cliche. He kind of points out these things, and the shipping between him and Sue are made pretty obvious by the rest of the crew, even though they never actually end up kissing, which is actually pretty interesting, I suppose. But it insinuates that there's going to be further relationships with them, I guess. So there's that. So the shark got in a few kills, pretty good stuff there, I guess. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I think it was okay. I think they gotta spend a little bit more time setting up this crew, so it would be a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more, the weight of their losses would have been a little bit more impactful, but, other than that, it was pretty enjoyable as it was, I suppose. So that was my review of The Meg, and if you enjoyed this review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out that link in the description. I'll head you over to my Patreon page, and any donations are greatly appreciated. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.